Hello team and welcome back to another Line Warcast. This is your map today. It's a 4v4 between Easy in blue, Snow Angel in red, Ronin in orange, and Desobnerin in teal against Kartoffelman in pink, Animorph in green, Presso in purple, and someone said that my nickname sucks in black. We can see that Ronin's going to go on the far right. We have Snow Angel here, starting beside their teammate Desobnerin, and then Easy is on the left-hand side, going for this cross pick. It's right away going to be a 2v2 between, well, actually a 3v2. Animorph's in the south. This is Bravo team player. Teammates Kartoffelman and Nickname up to the north. So right off the bat, Snow Angel and Desobnerin might be in a little bit of a tough situation. Ronin on the right-hand side is going to make it so Nickname can't expand to the north. Nickname is in black. And then Easy on the left-hand side is going to cut off Presso, who's in the top left. And there's your four players. So really immediate question is whether teal and red can hang on here. Nickname is sending some infantry up forward. So is Animorph towards the Sovereign's base. The Sovereign going for helicopters out of this airport, which will be very useful. Handful of barracks and a factory. Snow Angel right beside them going for 4 factories, 2 barracks. The 4 factories really going to come in handy potentially if these 3 Bravo team players decide to push in earnest. At this point, Animorph's pretty much on top of the base of Desobnerin, who's fighting on the right-hand side against Nickname, will likely be able to defend against black here, but have more of a trouble in defending against green. Not really much else to look at on the map. 2 factories, a barracks, and a town for Ronin on the right-hand side. Desobnerin will lose 1 of the barracks, and then to the left, Easy's going for tanks, 3 factory tank, and has a gas relatively close to secure that movement. And then 3 factory tank, refinery, depot, and some industry for Presso in the top left. So left side of the map, both players are going for tank plays. Animorph has also opened up an airport. The first helicopter is in play now. 5 barracks, rather 6 barracks for green. Easy defends this little push from Kartoffelman, who's going to redirect most of their units towards the Sovereign's base, losing 1 barracks. But Desobnerin's holding on at this point. Two artillery pieces are out, and the first SAM on the way for Desobnerin. All artillery pieces out of Snow Angel, who will potentially be able to cut off these Kartoffelman reinforcements heading towards Desobnerin's base. Nickname's first helicopter is on the way, so at some point there's likely going to need to be some more SAMs for Alpha Team, and Snow Angel's making the switch up right now, producing 1 of the SAMs out of the factories. The first group of green infantry has thinned out at this point. A handful of Easy's infantry, also, or Snow Angel's infantry, pardon me, helping out Desobnerin, who still receives the brunt of this push from Bravo team. On the right-hand side, Nickname's going to dig into this choke. It'll be very difficult for Orange to actually push through that with a 2-deep entrenchment of infantry. And it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Does Animorph decide to keep pushing or group up infantry? It looks like the grouping up is actually the plan at the moment. And an interesting start to this game. Easy's tanks are now in play. The refinery, the first one is on the way. Blue's going to need way more gas in order to do this. The beep beep that we hear is low on energy moving that many tanks, and there's more tanks on the way. And thankfully for Desobnerin, Snow Angel's starting to get these reinforcements from pink a little preoccupied. There's no real opportunity for red or teal to push back towards Animorph's base or Kartoffelman and Nickname's base. And Ronin's now running into this defensive line. There's not really enough orange infantry, and there's 3 artillery pieces in the back. So black should be good there. And if we just go top down, a lot of Bravo team territory in comparison to Alpha team. First SAM is done for Snow Angel, second one's on the way. Desobnerin has the exact same situation going. About 12 or so infantry are going to be able to clean out this airport and destroy it. There's no real way for the Sovereign to stop this. And Snow Angel will send some infantry down to try to help out, but they'll likely get there after the airport has been destroyed. Airport now for Kartoffelman, the first helicopter is being worked on, and Nickname has 3 tanks and has shut down this push. There's some artillery showing up for Orange, who's building a second town on the right-hand side, so Orange's economy probably pretty decent. And the Sovereign building a refinery, which could be kind of nice for Snow Angel if they go for tanks off of this. Or if the Sovereign can somehow transfer this money, or this energy, pardon me, over to Easy, who still has a ton of tanks. The Sovereign down to the last 3 buildings that they own, and there's no real suitable place for the Sovereign to build a backup barracks or anything. Since I assume this might be territory that the Sovereign controls, so potentially it looks like it is because the helicopters for the Sovereign will land there. So there's at least one place for the Sovereign to build a barracks, but even then it's super close to where Nickname is. An overall uncomfortable situation. Let's see where Presso is. Presso's got a town and a submarine pen starting to make their way down to the bottom left. We'll find this barracks from Easy, who's going to be knocked off of this starting location. And we'll be left with 3 factories, all tanks, and a 4th factory going for SAMs. The factory of SAMs is pretty important. These helicopters for Kartoffelman and Nickname are doing great against the tanks. 2 SAMs for Snow Angel are here. That is enough to at least deal with a few helicopters. And Snow Angel's a little bit preoccupied dealing with Kartoffelman's push, leaving Desobrin alone with Animorph, who has 2 helicopters done, built a power plant to keep some of these helicopters going. And it doesn't look like Animorph's building any more helicopters out of this airport, which is probably a good call since they don't have access to energy. Orange continues the push in the top right against Nickname, which forces Nickname to keep some amount of units at home in that choke, and so they can't get involved in these pushes. But by this point, it looks like Blue's got their energies sorted out. With this second refinery now completed, Blue also building some industry. Snow Angel has capped these 2 territories on the bottom left, which is great in case Red were to lose all of their buildings here. They'd be able to rebuild. A move command from Animorph to make sure that these infantry get on top of all of these units. And the 2 helicopters coming in clutch for the Sovereign as the extra little bit needed to defend against this. And I don't think Animorph's necessarily in trouble, because there's Kartoffelman and Nickname who could push to start helping out. But unfortunately for Green, this push is not super working. We'll get the refinery. And Desobrin builds a 3rd barracks now. Blue tanks heading towards this airport. Orange has actually broken through this defensive line now, which is huge for Alpha Team, because it takes Nickname entirely out of this main fight. Presso's army now getting involved a little bit. Gonna start pressuring this blue refinery, which is super important. Easy continues to go for tanks, so needs this second refinery set up. Will lose this barracks. 3 tanks is enough to actually spot the commando so they can fight back effectively. And Nickname lost the refinery, so these black tanks are kind of stranded up here as 5 blue tanks show up to presumably destroy them. This is a decent amount of stuff from Orange coming through this choke. And it's 2 factories and 4 barracks and a handful of towns for Orange, so Ronin probably with a pretty decent economy compared to a lot of the players. Kartoffelman's sending 3 helicopters over to help out Nickname. There's no SAMs from Orange at this choke, so the helicopters will do decent. And Easy's now using these tanks in the top left to face Presso's army, building a town as well. Disarmament loses the factories, now left on 4 barracks. But now that there's a bunch of red artillery that gets to show up, this is only infantry and helicopters from green. There's a chance that green will be able to jump on these artillery pieces. Since they're not really defended, there's no meat shield in front of them for red. And the Sovereign doesn't really have enough barracks to contribute to blocking these green infantry from jumping on the red artillery pieces. This is a huge problem for Nickname, with these orange units showing up and starting to threaten this farm. On this side, tanks, as a surprise, do win pretty much any land engagement. So they take out Presso's, like the first part of Presso's army that showed up there, and are heading towards this refinery. Presso's digging in. This is actually Kartoffelman. This is pink. So this is Kartoffelman's refinery to power these helicopters, which is pretty important. An entrenchment, pardon me, of pink artillery or pink infantry probably not going to be enough to deal with 7 tanks. 2 of them are heavily damaged, so it probably doesn't matter. Ronan continues building up pressure by putting a very forward factory and has a 4th town or a 3rd town now. And Nickname builds a power plant, which is important to keep the helicopters moving. You can see the black plumes of smoke on Nickname's helicopters. Since they are out of energy, it's a switch into artillery SAM for black, which makes a lot of sense because the tanks can't move. And Nickname certainly won't be knocked out right off the bat. The tanks do just move right through this entrenchment line. There's more tanks on the way for blue, still going for 3 at a time, and a rocket from Presso with an airport. The 3 subs are now done, starting to cap this territory, and there's actually a 2nd sub pen in the north for Presso. Sort of weird situation. Black and pink have no energy, and there's no real opportunity for them to get any energy for the next little bit now that these tanks have locked it down. Ronin goes for an airport on the far right, and Animorph continues to throw infantry at this. And they're having pretty decent success. They'll probably get another barracks. DeSovereign being pinned on this very low production structure count all game. I mean, off of the pick phase, it's kind of inevitable when there's a mismatch of units here. Animorph's actually building a barracks on the right-hand side. This has always been a 3v2 situation, so it's pretty good that DeSovereign's still in the game at this point. Now 5 artillery pieces done for black. The power plant is complete, so the first helicopter can start flying again. There's still no anti-air from orange here. And Presso's going to start building a pretty impressive army on the left-hand side of the map with the 3 industry, a town and a port already built, 4th industry over here. A lot of the income is going to go towards this rocket since they're so expensive, but even so, Purple probably going to be able to build up a decent army off of those 2 factories they put forward. DeSovereign is in trouble, going to lose the last barracks, but this is the sub-pen that DeSovereign's building to make sure they stay in the game. All things considered, probably a pretty good play because sub-pens have that stealth bonus as a building just by default, so this will be a little bit more difficult for Bravo team to actually see and then destroy. They'll know that there has to be a building somewhere because after destroying that barracks, DeSovereign hasn't been knocked out of the game. But we'll see if Nickname's infantry spot this. If we actually go to Bravo team's vision, we can see it's still invisible. Ronin's got a barracks, or pardon me, a dock here to transport all this infantry and artillery across. But Snow Angel's in a 3v1 situation. And this is going to be very difficult to deal with. I guess it's really a 2v1. Nickname's still primarily dealing with this push from orange. And just tank battles on the left-hand side of the map. It is artillery out of these forward factories for purple. Another factory for Easy. Easy's now going on to 6 factories, all building tanks presumably. First helicopter's done for Presso, and the rocket is 1/3 of the way completed. And I'm not sure if Presso actually can see the exact buildings that Easy has and where they are. This is the vision, so kind of, but not really. These 3 factories in the forest. DeSovereign is about to get knocked out of the game. That is their last building. Nickname destroys it, so we're in a 4v3 situation. It's looking very tough for Snow Angel at this point. And we've learned many times in team games, once you lose a teammate, it's very difficult to come back. Red resigns, and that leaves Ronan and Easy on the flanks of the map. But we can see, like, top down, a lot of economy for Bravo Team, a lot of territory for Bravo Team. And of course, you know, an advantage in player numbers. 2 tanks from Easy trying to get by. They will be able to get by, maybe destroy a few farms. But Nickname is going to hold on to this choke. Has a second power plant so that black helicopters can more easily fly. There are 2 SAMs already. It's transport planes from Ronan. But with the help of Kartoffelman, I don't think Nickname's in any trouble. Ronan started to land here, but there's enough between black and green to stuff this. There's more transport boats, but the important thing is that orange isn't going to be able to keep this flow of units coming because there's no production structures down here. Transport boats would have to go up north and start transporting these units across in order to have a steady supply of reinforcements. And very soon, this green, pink, and maybe a few black units are also going to get involved and be a 4v1 against Easy. But it's a very strong army on all these tanks. Continues to build 6 tanks at once. Or I guess rather it's 5 tanks and artillery. But this rocket is going to be a huge problem. Presso could elect to send this rocket at the army of blue or at the production structures. I think both are probably fine. I mean, especially given the situation in this game. The beep beep we're hearing is the DC sound from one of the Alpha Team players that have left the game. Yeah, and Ronan even stops sending these units across. Easy's got a 3rd refinery on the bottom here. Helicopters for Animorph, check this refinery, see nothing there. All of these barracks have been turned off by green to build this refinery and then get connected to this network of energy, which is a great team play. It allows Kartoffelman and Nickname to use their helicopters and tanks more consistently. Since this depot is super empty, I mean 2 power plants really isn't enough to sustain this. And we got tanks and SAMs versus infantry. You'll really get an idea for how effective tanks are. Some of these tanks, I mean most of them have some damage on them, and this is a lot of infantry. But even so, this is a lot of, you know, this green infantry is going to soften up these tanks at least for then the rest of these armies to destroy them. Raiding helicopters from Presso will keep watching for this rocket, where it goes, what the decision is. And we're just waiting for the end here. The rocket probably doesn't even show up. So really, you see the tanks. I mean, this is a lot of destroyed green infantry. But they do enough for pink to get involved. There's the lines of both players. We hear the rocket showing up now. Anyone's guess if it goes to the army or the producers. I think it's going to go to the army at this point, and then purple's going to be here to push down through the mountains. There's some SAMs, but there's not enough. A pretty good placement by Presley, who gets all of the blue units except for 2 tanks. And that's it for Easy. Which leaves Bravo Team just to deal with Ronan on the right-hand side. Decent amount of SAMs now for Orange. 3 transport planes on the airport, with 1 more being built. And 2 submarines for Purple, capping all the northern seas And this is what top down looks like. And this is what it's about. This is that close-up action that we need to see. Mini tanks tanking on the infantry and the artillery for nickname, and that is it. GG. Well played. 4v4. Let's look at these graphs. I mean, income, I guess. Bravo team just takes it. Cool. I hope you enjoyed the cast. Thanks for the support, everyone. Thank you for any way you do it. Commenting, liking, subscribing. Of course, it all helps grow the channel. Check out twitch.tv/SodaQuackers. I stream Line War on there. We play some Line War. Draw some lines. Hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, breakfast, lunch, dinner, afternoon snack, tea, dinner. I already said dinner. Whatever it is, wherever you are, thank you very much. Peace.